Have you ever wondered if being alone in old age could be the key to true freedom and happiness? Aging often brings with it a critical question. Is it better to be alone, or should I share my life with someone? Today we'll shatter the myths surrounding relationships in later years and explore why being single might just be the most liberating choice you can make. By the end of this video, you'll gain a completely new perspective on love, companionship, and independence, one that could reshape your future. You'll discover how society's view of romantic relationships might be a trap, and how embracing your freedom can lead to a life of fulfillment and self-discovery. So stick with us until the end, and I promise you'll see the value in living life on your terms, free from societal pressures. If this message resonates with you, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more life-changing insights. Let's dive in and explore what true freedom looks like. Before we begin, I'd really appreciate it if you like this video. It helps me continue spreading these valuable lessons. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend doing so and turning on the notification bell so you never miss a video. If you enjoy this content, comment 1. If not, comment 0 to let me know how I can improve for you. Now, let's get started. The illusion of love and relationships. As we age, we often find ourselves confronting an important question. Should we remain alone, or is it essential to have a partner? It's a question that carries deep emotional and philosophical implications, yet society rarely discusses the truth behind it. Being single in later years could very well be the key to unlocking true freedom and happiness. In this video, we're going to expose the myths surrounding relationships, uncover the unexpected benefits of solitude, and redefine what love and companionship truly mean. By the end, you'll have a completely new outlook on the future, one that empowers and inspires you. Romantic love has been elevated to an almost sacred status in our society, treated as the ultimate goal for every individual. We're taught that being alone is a sign of failure, that a life without a partner is somehow incomplete. But take a closer look at the world around you. How many people are truly happy in their relationships? How many stay together out of habit, fear, or societal expectations rather than genuine love? The chains of romantic expectations. Humans are born free. We live free. We die free. Everything else, relationships, societal norms, expectations, is circumstantial, an illusion imposed upon us. Yet people remain in unfulfilling relationships simply because they fear the judgment of being single. They pretend to be happy because admitting they might be better off alone would mean facing society's disapproval. Relationships often form out of sheer inertia. We're conditioned from childhood to seek companionship, to view marriage or long-term relationships as life's ultimate achievement. But is it really? Or is it just another tradition we blindly follow? The tragedy is that society celebrates this illusion, pushing people to stay in emotional partnerships that drain rather than uplift. The love we've been sold is not love at all. It's a cage, decorated with illusions. At first, it might seem like passion and excitement, but eventually, routine takes over, disguised as commitment. And why do people stay? To avoid being labeled as lonely, to evade the discomfort of being truly alone. But in reality, the loneliest people are often those trapped in unfulfilling relationships. The deception of love. The idea of love has become a performance. What was once a genuine quest for connection has transformed into a game of ego-driven theatrics. We no longer seek deep, meaningful relationships. Instead, we participate in a social contest where the winner is the one who deceives best, the one who curates the most appealing online persona, the one who knows how to manipulate attention. And we call this romance. It's fascinating how relationships begin under false pretenses. We present an idealized version of ourselves, trying to impress, playing roles, and hiding our true selves. And when the illusion inevitably shatters, we wonder what went wrong. The truth is, when a relationship is built on lies, its failure is inevitable. The myth of love as a solution. Many people believe that finding love later in life will fix everything. But here's the harsh reality. Love doesn't fix anything. It complicates things even further. What we call romantic love is often just socially accepted possession. We've been conditioned to believe that love is about need, that to be happy, we must have someone else by our side. But here's the problem. If you need someone else to be happy, you've already lost. You've lost touch with yourself. You've given away your power. The real issue isn't being alone. It's being with someone who makes you feel even lonelier, who disconnects you from your true self. Society tells us we need a partner to be whole, but isn't that a degrading idea? The notion that we are born incomplete and require another person to fulfill us is absurd. I'd rather stay whole and independent than search for a so-called other half. Society's pressure and the fear of loneliness. Society pressures people into relationships the same way it pressures us to buy insurance. If you don't have a partner, you're treated like an anomaly. People assume something is wrong with you. They label you a social failure. But the real absurdity isn't being alone. It's seeking companionship purely out of fear of judgment. Romantic love has stopped being a genuine choice. It has become an artificial need. You don't love because you genuinely want to. You love because society has conditioned you to believe you should. But true love isn't born from the fear of being alone. It emerges from the peace and contentment of being at home with yourself. The ultimate truth about relationships. The real reason many people stay in empty relationships is simple. They are terrified of loneliness. But here's the irony. Most couples, despite being together, are more alone than they would be if they were single. As the philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre once said, if you feel lonely when you're with yourself, you're in bad company. Couples don't stay together because they genuinely want to. They stay together because they fear solitude. Emotional dependency replaces genuine affection, surveillance replaces trust, and paranoia replaces peace. How many relationships today exist in a constant state of suspicion and fear? How many people stay just because they can't face being alone? This is what love has become. A suffocating, fear-driven dynamic. If you feel the need to check your partner's phone, if you're constantly worried about infidelity, then you're not in a relationship. You're in an emotional prison. The truth. No one wants to face. The relationship is already over. No one dares to say it aloud because it's easier to pretend everything is fine. But here's the hardest pill to swallow. Once suspicion enters the equation, the damage is done. Even if your partner has done nothing wrong, trust has already been eroded. And if they're attractive or active on social media, doubt turns into an endless cycle. At this point, it's not even about infidelity, it's about the inevitability of it. We live in a world where temptation is a commodity, and technology has made deception as effortless as a swipe on a screen. Yet, we cling to the illusion of monogamy, pretending we're in a time where knights rode on horseback to rescue damsels in distress. If you're still watching this video, comment 1 below to let me know you're here with me. If cheating is so common, if most of us have been affected by it at some point, why do we still believe in the myth of eternal fidelity? Why is it still upheld as the ultimate standard? Let's be honest. Love based on control is a lie. Faithfulness imposed out of obligation is a form of torture, something no one should accept. When sex, one of life's greatest pleasures, becomes a battleground, it's no longer about desire. It's about fear. Fear of breaking an unspoken rule. Fear of stepping outside of socially imposed boundaries. But what kind of life is that? What kind of relationship is built on fear and repression? Nature itself tells a different story. Animals don't chain themselves to a single partner for life. Even those that do still interact freely with others of their species, enjoying companionship without guilt or fear. They experience pleasure without wondering if they're betraying someone. Humans, on the other hand, have turned sex into a routine obligation, forcing ourselves to be with one person, whether we feel like it or not, and calling that commitment. But is it really? Is that freedom? Is that the life we're meant to live? Shouldn't sex be as natural and free as food, a basic pleasure enjoyed without guilt or restriction? Why do we let outdated societal norms dictate how we experience our desires? People who engage in casual relationships with mutual consent are often seen as immoral. Yet, their choice to embrace pleasure without constraints threatens those who are emotionally shackled. If you choose to experience intimacy freely, you're labeled cold or detached. And for women, the judgment is even harsher. But the real immorality isn't in the freedom to explore. It's in the hypocrisy of pretending purity while secretly fantasizing about infidelity. What stops us from living authentically? The very norms that even those who preach them don't follow. Those who champion faithfulness often secretly wish to break every rule they impose on others. I'm not advocating for reckless sexual freedom, which can lead to obsession and imbalance. But there is nothing wrong with enjoying intimacy when it feels right for you. We've been conditioned to see sex outside of a committed relation. If you're still watching this, comment 2 below. Forced monogamy creates tension, not love. Human desire is as natural as breathing. Suppressing it doesn't make it disappear. It makes it consume you. The more you deny your nature, the more it controls you. Relationships should not be about sacrifice or losing yourself for someone else. True love is about connection, mutual respect, and shared goals. The problem isn't having a partner. It's believing lifelong commitment is mandatory just because society says so. That belief, that pressure to conform, is a recipe for unhappiness. It's incredible that people still believe following outdated norms will lead to happiness. These are often the same people who blindly trust governments and institutions to protect their rights despite all evidence to the contrary. True freedom begins the moment you stop playing the game society has set up for couples. If this message makes you uncomfortable, maybe it's because deep down you know it's true. People claim fidelity is the greatest act of love, but in many cases, it's rooted in fear. Fear of losing a partner, fear of boredom, fear that they'll find someone better. Modern love for many is nothing more than a performance of commitment, masking deep insecurity. When distrust becomes the foundation of a relationship, passion dies. What's left is routine, staying together because it's expected or because of shared responsibilities. But that's not love. That's inertia. Love should not be an exclusive contract bound by rules and obligations. It should be a mutual agreement built on trust, respect, and the understanding that freedom is not a threat to love. It is essential to its survival. Control does not guarantee fidelity. It guarantees resentment. And resentment inevitably erodes the foundation of a relationship. True love does not require walls or imprisonment. If you have to confine someone to keep them, you've already lost them. If you're still here, comment 3 below. Society exalts relationships because singlehood threatens control structures. An independent person, unafraid of loss or social expectations, is a danger to a system built on dependency. Being single is not an accident or a failure. It is a conscious choice. Ironically, those who pity the single life are often the same people trapped in relationships they no longer want. They drag their partnerships through life like burdens, too afraid to put them down. The idea that coupledom should be the default is a social construct that limits personal growth. Only humans have managed to turn love into a never-ending contract that denies the most basic freedom of all, the right to exist without attachment. Emma Goldman once said, "The worst kind of slavery is the one where the slave loves their chains." And that is exactly how most people live, clinging to relationships for security, even when they know that security is nothing but an illusion. Singlehood is often seen as a problem, especially for women who are pressured to find a partner before their time runs out. But what society fails to realize is that the single person is not suffering. They are watching others drown in relationships that have long since expired. The truth is, singlehood is not the absence of love. It is an abundance of self-respect. It is a choice to live authentically without negotiating freedom for the illusion of connection. Oscar Wilde famously said, "To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance." If a relationship does not contribute to growth, it is not love. It is an anchor. Life is not about conforming to expectations. It is about owning your journey, writing your own narrative, and choosing what brings you peace and fulfillment. If that means walking alone, then let it be a journey rich with freedom, self-discovery, and deep self-love. Now, I want to hear from you. What resonated most with you today? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this message spoke to you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a message of encouragement, guidance, and truth. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next time.